All right. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Doing well. Doing well. You?
Yeah, doing well. Cool. We have a bunch of
Hello.
animations to look at today. Makes me
And
really
catch up
happy.
today.
Okay, let's wait a few more minutes to see. I think we are still missing a few people. Um, yeah, this is Mark. Very nice. Yeah, yeah. This is Yeah, you're getting that squash and stretch within the body in these few frames. Then it, it gives it a very good feeling. Uh, This straight arm that you have here is very nice. Starts there. There you go. Yeah, this straight arm here. It's really nice. This one you could have gotten more stretch out of it. Also, if you look at it, you see the elbow, if you call the elbow, is here. See the relationship of the elbow is like right under the shoulder, a little bit in front, and then it's very close to the line of the to the underline of the chest. I think here this could be more here, the elbow. So it may be that you would have needed to adjust the shoulder in order to get the elbow in the correct place. Also look at the negative space between the head and this arm here when it reaches. You see in this frame you have way more negative space as far as vertical space here versus that, which is telling us this arm need to be more here in this pose if you look at your ref. And then in the next one, you see the ref has an almost straight uh, reach, and it's like almost near the ground. So I would suggest to get this more like a straight for that reach, like you had on the other arm, like this pose on the other arm. This would be essentially here. And then a, a good trick always, um, not a trick, but a way to analyze the ref is to see the relationship between body parts. Like if you look at the head in your ref, and then look at where the front arm is placed, like the paw is somewhere here, which is, if you draw the line from the nose down, which is a little bit further back from the nose. It's more under the eye here, between the ear and the eye. Here, if you draw that, your paw is almost on the same line, on the same plane with the nose. So this pose would have been, the paw, I would say, would be here. Something like this, if you look at the ref. Yeah, our rig is not the best, but here, take a look at the ref. See again this arm, where the elbow is, and how far is the distance between the top line of the body versus the elbow. Like the elbow is on the, if you say this is the box of the chest, the elbow is on the upper side. Here, your elbow is lower. Like I would say in this pose, the elbow would be here. So this is where it currently is. It needs to be a little bit more higher. Now all this stuff come into play when you go to your polish pass. For the blocking, what you have is really nice. But then for the next pass, it's good to go in and do all these little things. Like if you look at the other arm, look at the wrist, the way the wrist is in this pose, the wrist is still dragging behind. The paw is still dragging behind the wrist, like still the wrist is leading there a little bit. And then see where the wrist is in comparison to the head. It's there. Your wrist is here, which tells us the wrist should be higher, like more further along the path of the body, like this should be more here, like that. The up and down of the head and the neck is very nice that you have here. But you could also exaggerate it a lot more. See from this frame to this frame, see how much the head in your ref is moving down. See the silhouette. In this frame, we see the silhouette of the ear. In the next frame, it's completely within the neck. Like in one frame, it goes like 60%. If you say in your graph editor, you say you pick out the extremes. Like let's say this is one extreme, the furthest down, this is the highest. Like in this one frame, it's going like 50% of that spacing, of that extreme to extreme, which is what gives the feeling of that push with the head and neck. When the quadrupeds run, dogs have it, cats have it, that in this up and down of the head that is leading the action as they go, and you feel like they're really putting the effort to it. This is one of the things that, like the spacing of the up and down of the head. And then again, when it's coming back up in one frame, here goes most of the way. The rotation you have on your hips is very nice. Your shoulders are doing right thing. Very good. Yeah, and also for your polish pass, whenever you get to it, keep in mind that the paws, as long as they're on the ground, they should have that flat pose until they leave, and then they they flip back. Very cool. Okay, let's see the walk. The walk is always more difficult than the run. The run has so few frames, then it's more forgiving. Like if you make it's not perfect, you can get away with it. But the walk is a little bit shows. Yeah, this is very nice. Yeah, the up and down. The first thing I usually look at is the hips, and the most important curve is the up and down, which what you have is nice. Feels like here when the hips are going up, they go up in two frames, and then it feels like almost they hit a ceiling. Like if you look at the TY of your hips, when they go up, should maybe look something like this, where they go and boom, and then they hit. Um, it's true that we want to feel the bounce and we want to go most of the way in like two frames, but then at the top as well as the bottom, we need those three frames, 2 or 3 frames of easing into it so that it doesn't feel like it hit a hard surface and stop. Boom. So maybe here, your hips, if you look at this line, goes up, and then boom, the hard stop. I would say you would need like 2 or 3 frames of easing into that top pose, this part. Easy. And then you would probably you could probably add more rotation to the hips as well. I think it's RX if I'm not mistaken. See, yeah, this rotation to the hips. Like you see here, the hips is rotated this way, and then here it's rotated back that way, and then as the legs come forward, you can see here from almost straight, it comes and turns this way to allow for that leg to come forward. You have it here, but could be more, because when we look at just the hips, we see primarily the up and down. We would need to see a little bit more of the RX as it rotates for each step. Yeah, other than that, the hips are very good. The side to side rotation, the RY is very nice. Cool. Let's look look at the chest. Your chest, the chest is a little bit, to me, looks like the TY is a little bit soft. We're not feeling the bounce. We should feel the bounce a little bit more. Granted, the chest are less the bounce versus the hip, so that we would see the hip more doing the bounce, the chest less. But here, your chest TY maybe is a little bit like has too many frames. Like the timing needs to be a little bit sharper so that we feel the bounce. Boom, boom. If you look at your ref, you can see it. After the front leg lands, there's a sharp boom, boom, boom. And then one thing, keep in mind that the um, the front leg, as soon as it lands, you would need to go almost straight and then keep that straight shape because it's supporting the weight until at the end where it's releasing the weight and then it can bend. One of the telltale signs of something supporting the weight is that it always goes straight. And the reason for that is if like it's like when you're standing and you put your weight on one leg, your leg would be straight because it locks so that it releases the pressure from the muscles and puts it on the bones so that your muscles can relax. Otherwise, if you try to put your weight on one leg and have your knee bent, then all the muscles of the hip and the thigh would need to contract. That's the same principle with all the quadrupeds. As soon as the weight goes on the leg, it goes straight, it locks so that the muscles doesn't need to engage anymore. So that basically it takes less energy for when they walk. So here, this bend that you have here is taking away from the feeling of the weight. Like here, as soon as it lands, would be nice to have a more of a straight shape for the arm. Something like you have here, like this is very nice. And then the release at the end. Oh, this is very nice. This roll in that you have here, that's one of the signs of the cats. Like everything rolls back as the as the as the leg goes forward. Looks like there is a little bit of front and back in your walk. It's from here to here. You see, it's going forward and then comes back. Maybe in your TZ of the chest in these frames. I think there is some in your ref, but I'm not sure. It may be because of the camera, because the camera is not locked for your ref. Looks like a zoom lens, and then there's a little bit of offset between them. So I think that's something that is in your ref, but it's not what the lion is doing. It may be because of the relationship of the camera and the subject. So I would suggest reducing that by like maybe 90%. The up and down of the head, um, is a little bit like we don't feel again the bounce that we need to feel on the head. If you look at the head, we feel that front and back that we talked about a little bit, but the up and down is getting lost a little bit. If you look at your ref, you see from here, when the front leg lands, the head goes down in 2 frames and then comes back up in 3 or 4 frames. So that 2 or 3 frame down and then 3 or 4 frames coming back up, boom, 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 is something that is missing a little bit in your animation. And then something else, if you look at your shoulders are doing the correct thing. It's just the timing of them going up is a little bit soft, like you have too many frames, which ties in into that straight shape of the leg we talked about. So look at your ref, like, you know, the lion's camera side shoulder. From this frame, 1, 2, 3, 4 frames goes to the maximum. And as a result, the arm in 4 frames goes straight because the shoulder is not down anymore. The shoulder goes to the maximum. And then everything locks from that point until the end that the leg reaches the farthest back point. Yeah, you have too many frames, like your shoulder starts from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 frames as it goes up, but it should be half of that. Like 4 frames needs to go up and then lock until the leg lifts at the back. Very cool. Let's look at the front. Okay, from the front, the side to side of the chest. Yeah, the side to side of the chest, the timing needs a little bit of adjustment because right now it's a little bit late. You see the chest is reaching, going to the screen left here as this leg is coming forward. However, the chest needs to go all the way to one side before this leg lifts. Otherwise, you would fall over. Like if it's halfway in the middle and this leg wants to land, like you would lose its balance. So the chest needs to go all the way this way, or maybe 90% of the way, so that this leg can lift, and then it lands, goes this way, and then it lands, goes this way. So it needs to be all the way on the other leg before this one can lift. Take a look at that if you ever want to go back to this exercise. And the side to side of your head is not matching with the chest as well. So when they walk, the head side to side follows the chest side to side with maybe 1 or 2 frames of offset. So whatever the chest is doing as far as TX, the head does the same thing, but because they're not connected like solidly, there's the neck which has flexibility. It goes like this, a little bit of offset, boom. But overall, they have the same timing and spacing as far as the side to side. The spread display that you have on the toes is very nice. Like when they land, they spread out. Okay, one thing here that I see here, look at the shoulders going back. The screen left shoulder. When you look at it, it goes and stays a little bit. You know, it starts from this frame and then goes here and then stays. It needs to be almost with the leg, like it comes forward, the shoulder, when the leg reaches the contact, and then goes back and then reaches the maximum 1 or 2 frames before the paw wants to lift off the ground. Right now, what you have goes back and then stays there until waits for the leg to get to it. But it should be like this axis of the shoulder should go with the leg. It's the up and down that has different timing that we talked about, like goes up and locks. Cool, very nice. The tail is very nice, the side to side. Cool. Nice job, man. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Arthur, let's look at your stuff.
Oh no.
What you have for us? Okay, one question. How much time did you spend on this blocking, if you remember?
I think it's like 4 days of work.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit rough at the moment. I would say it needs like one more pass to get it to a point that we would call it good for blocking, which then you can go on and add all the little stuff, all the details to polish it off. And again, it's all the different relationships for each pose that I would suggest you to take a look at. Now, this ref that you have here may not be a very good ref because it's showing the lion from a 3/4 front view, which like the ideal ref would be 2 refs of the same lion, one from the profile, one from the front, because these two give us the most information. This one is a little bit hard to see the relationships between body parts. For example, when this front leg has the contact pose, like I would say this frame, it's hard to see how far, like the relationship between that paw and the head. Is it right under the head? Is it in front of the head? You know, and then it's hard to see, like, I know because the contact pose, usually the front leg is straight. In most of the quadrupeds, for the contact of the reach, the leg goes straight because that's the way it can gain the most distance and therefore spend the least amount of energy when they walk, because that means fewer cycles of leg steps. So here, for example, this bend that you have here would probably not be here. You would probably see a more straight pose for that contact pose. Another thing that I see here is that your hips, overall, the TY of the hips is too low compared to the chest. So your body has a like a it feels like a lion who's been hurt in a fight when you look at the hips. If you look at the hips in your ref, you see the lowest point that they go. Let's find the lowest points of the hips is here, is this frame. Which you can see if you compare to where the head is, this is the distance we're talking about. Like this is the most that the hips go down versus the top line of the head. Now, if you look at yours, oops, sorry, you have this here, and you have the hips here. So overall, your hips need to be higher, and then you would add that up and down only on each step, and then it's a bounce. It goes down and comes back up, and stays up, and then boom, boom. And then for the head, if you look at your ref, again, the same thing. You have a bounce on the head. Find the bounce, okay, it's here. You see, from this frame, if you look at the eyes, the line of the eyes, down, 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 4 frames down, 1 frame of ease out of that down pose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like it's like 4 down, 5 up, kind of a bounce, and then it stays up, and then and it happens when the front leg lands. You see, boom. When we look at your animation, you have too many frames for the head to come back up. You see, like if you look at this frame, next frame, next frame, in these 4 frames, the head goes like 60–70% of the way as it comes back up. In those same 4 frames, you look at the eyes in your animation, they're going a little bit less. And then the result of that, oh wait, how do I frame this back? Like this. No, what did I do? Okay. And then when you look at the head in your animation, it feels soft. It's like this. Whereas it needs to have the bounce, hold, bounce, hold, bounce, hold. And then one thing that I feel like in your base pose, you might need to take a look at is the rotation of the chest. Feels like the chest has been rotated this way in RX. Feels like the chest is rotated this way a little bit too much, which is resulting this line of action in the body. Take a look at that, like especially it's apparent here when the shoulder goes up and then you see this shape. Might be the rotation, might be the up and down, might be that you're pushing the shoulders a little bit too high here. Or a combination of those. Yes, the shoulders in big cats have a big range of motion and you really feel them. But I think this may be a little bit too much. Like especially if you look at your ref, like the shoulder go up, but it doesn't create such a strong silhouette of the neck and the body. Like if you look at the silhouette of the body, you see a very small bump for the shoulder here. Here you have a very pronounced shape coming off. And then for the legs, take a look at the spacing of them moving front and back. For example, this leg, it lifts in 3 frames and comes to here and feels like there's a little bit, it slows down right in the middle and then speeds up again to reach the contact pose. So it feels like there's a hitch in the middle where it lifts up and then goes, lifts up and then goes. Usually the spacing is such that when it lifts, it eases out of that pose. In the middle, it goes fast, like the spacing gets bigger and then eases into that contact pose. So it's like something like this. Usually there shouldn't be a stop in the timing or spacing right in the middle. Let's see if you can see it here. Yeah, you see from here, if you look at this leg, it eases out in 1, 2, 3 frames. And then you see the spacing coming forward, big spacing, big spacing, big spacing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 frames eases into the contact pose. So it's like if this is the TZ, like going front and back, if you look at the curve, it would be something like this. If this is the pose that is all the way back, like 3 frame ease out, and then goes fast, and then 3 or 4 frame ease in, and then this is the contact pose. This is the lift off pose. So you would need 3 frames of ease out, 3 or 4 frames going fast, which is like the main distance that it covers, and then 3 or 4 frames of easing, and then it lands. Yeah, right now in all of your steps for the front leg, you don't have that. Take a look at that. For your back legs are doing almost the right thing, like as far as the spacing. Like here, 1, 2, 3, could be a little bit more ease out coming out of here, and then they go fast and then they land, which is nice. One thing to take a look at is your toes. As the back leg lifts off, they need to, like they say, peel off the ground. Like usually it doesn't lift off with the same pose like this. Like these are the toes, and this is the rest of the leg. It shouldn't lift like this. It lifts like this. Like they peel off and then they catch up for the rotation. I'm talking about this angle here. The toes versus the ball of the foot. You see, you're keeping that same angle as it comes forward. Usually, it's hard to see in this ref because it's a 3/4 front view, but you can see it here. Like you see this line there, that is telling us the toes are flat, and then the back is like that. And then when it lifts, that lines disappear, which is telling us the toes are now have the same rotation as the back, so they lift like that. Cool. Yeah, so if you have the time, I would suggest taking another pass on your walk. Sorry, what did I do? Yeah, taking another pass on your walk. Maybe if you can find the ref from the side, that could be very helpful. So you can see like you can like it would give you more information as far as the posing and the relationship between leg, the head, the chest, and the hips. And then let's take a look at, oh, we have the sound as well. Let's take a look at that.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Cool. I think
I think Sync Sketch is not. I put it to other that actually loop. I don't know if it's because of the
that's
codec,
not.
but yeah. I think that maybe it's just the size of the file.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, your hips are very nice, and your back legs are good. One thing again, take a look at this. You see, in the ref is the other way. Actually, the toes are dragging here. But other than that, looks very nice. The rotations that you have here and here, this joint looks like it's breaking a little bit this way. But the hips are very nice. Now, the chest, take a look at the chest in the ref and see the up and down in it. Like you see, if you look at the chest, actually, let me see if I can zoom in. You see, up, 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 in 3 frames goes up, and then this frame is because of the loop. We have 1 frame of not matching, but usually it goes up in 3 or 4 frames and then comes down like this. 1, 2, 3, or 4 frames comes down. Which you have it here, but the timing for the up and down of the chest for the run can be sharper. It's a little bit soft right now. Feels a little bit like your keys, if you look at the TY, are doing this, whereas they should be a little bit, let me draw it in another color, should go a little bit sharper and then hold, sharper, hold, sharper, hold, so that you feel the up and down more, versus like always like moving up and moving down. It should be sharper again to feel the bounce. And then one thing here that is hurting, basically giving away from that feeling of the run. You know, run in quadrupeds, especially predators, they really try to reach in each cycle with the front legs to gain the maximum distance that they can with each step in the run, because that equals faster speed. Like instead of going like this, they reach and then at the other end they go all the way, so you see them doing this. If you don't do that, it doesn't give the feeling, which is a little bit something what you have here. You see, and then for that reach to work, we would need to see the straight, like the arm shape going straight in the front, like this. Here you don't have that. Like in your run cycle, we're not seeing that straight shape. This bend is always present in your front legs when you're doing your cycle. At least 1 or 2 frames you would need to see that stretch, straight arm, and then the contact. Like this frame here, it's the leg is hidden behind the shrubbery, but it should be a straight straight pose. And then take a look at the negative space between the head and the arm in the ref. This negative space. You see how small that is? And then if you look at the same in your ref, look how huge that negative space is, which is telling us your arm is not doing the right thing, as well as your head is not doing the right thing. You see the angle of the shoulder versus the neck is like this, goes up, shoulder, neck, head. Here, you don't have that angle. Everything is going up. So again, this pose, you need to have the neck going down, and then you have your head something doing like this. This would be your head and neck, and then your arm would be something like this if you look at your ref. You see, like if you look at this versus this, and then the next pose, your arm would be almost straight as it lands. See the top of the nose, the arm where it's landing. It's like giving us the same information, like almost at the same place, the nose and the paw for the contact. Same thing for when they reach back. You see, in this pose, where the back legs are coming forward and the front legs are going back, we almost don't see any negative space here because the back legs are coming to the front. Here you have this negative space, which telling us this leg could be more like that and the front leg could be more back. They almost cross each other, like the back legs come forward and the front legs go back and they cross each other, so that right at this pose, there's no negative space in between. Like this here should be all arms and legs like tangled, like everything right there. And then in this pose, as this arm is going forward, see where the upper arm starts from. And then the toes are dragging. The upper arm, see the relationship of where it is to the body versus the chest. Yours is like here. The ref is here. And then it's dragging like this, which is telling us the position of your arm, the one far from camera, is not correct and needs some adjustment. Cool. Yeah. So I would suggest like doing another pass if you have the time, both on the run, on the walk as well, to get it like work it up for the blocking. That would probably be a good idea if you have time.
Cool. Thanks. Actually, I do have a question about the run. Like, should I know like in a cycle they shouldn't, like, you shouldn't move into it too much, but because the run has so much like squash and stretch, I move the hips a bit forward, but should the chest like move back as well?
Well,
Or...
the way it's kind of depends on whoever animates. Some people keep the hip stationary and just squash and stretch from the front side, like the chest and the head. Me personally, I squash and stretch a little bit from both sides, like a an accordion a little bit. So like when I do it, I stretch, I move hips back and forth a little bit, and I move chest back and forth a little bit. So from the middle of the rig, everything stretches and squashes a little bit like this when they run. But again, it depends on your scene. For the purposes of this exercise, it's up to you. However you want to do it, doesn't really matter. But think about later if you want to incorporate it into a shot where your character is running and then turning and maybe jumping. Then you have to think about what would be the best setup. Usually it's the way that the hips should not move back and forth in your cycle, because most of the power and like there originates from the hips. So then if the hips are moving back and forth in your cycle, then later the lions comes to a jump, then you would need to do a pass to counter animate it when you put it into your shot. So that just keep that in mind.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Cool, thank you. All right, anyone else has done some cool stuff? Come on, guys.
I'll share something at the end. I literally started my blocking like an hour before class.
Okay. You leave the homework right before the exam. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
No worries. Okay. And then let me see. Okay, so for today, now that we did a cycle and we learned some good stuff from it, one thing that I found is a jump. The jump is the next progression, and let's find the ref. For this one, I found a cool ref from a tiger, which we don't have. Like we're gonna work with the lion. It's the same thing, but so it's this guy, and then the next one is this guy.
12-foot.
So it's like 190 frames. Now, probably in the beginning, we don't need all this stuff, just in the interest of not spending too much time on it. We can trim it down to here, maybe even here. And then this part. 95 frames. Okay, so the first thing to look at is the overall timing. You see, the timing is a little bit slow. It's like, which is one of the main indication of weight. The heavier a creature, the slower they move. And then the second thing is this anticipation that this tiger is doing with the front legs coming forward, the head and the chest go down, the hips and the back leg do a small jump as the head and neck are going up. And then here is what it's giving it's the main force is the legs, this shape, going to look at that beautiful straight going through there. 1, 2, 3, 4 in 4 frames, and then the big spacing of the cat going up. There's a 3-frame hip adjustment that usually cats do so that they would be able to land on their 4 legs, which is here. And then as it comes down, one leg drags behind, the other legs go straight. With a 2-frame offset, this leg contacts, this leg contacts, and then 2 frames later, the front legs in a straight pose. Everything goes down, the body, the hip go down, the chest goes down, and then they settle back up. And then the end pose, the hips are higher, the chest is lower, because the animal is interested in that piece of meat that it just hunted, grabbed. Cool. Let's see. So let's start. I would need my ref. Cannot record both screens, unfortunately. It's fine. Okay, we need 100 frames. Oops. So here I thought we can go a pose-to-pose stepped approach for this exercise, just because the other one we went like a layered approach so that you guys can see both. It's not a complete pose-to-pose. Like from the middle of it, I would switch everything to a spline and then go from there. But just so that like this, like if this was a shot, this is a good good example, because everything is like it has clear changes of poses from one to the other, so that it lends itself to a pose-to-pose like stepped approach. So with that in mind, let's see, how can I want to have the ref and then in my report as well as I would need to bring it in my, well, it's fine. Anyway, let's identify the main poses, and then we take it from there. So this would be our first pose that we start. Chest is here, front leg straight, hip is rotated this way and is lower, and the back legs are like this shape. The neck is higher, the head is rotated up in RX, and it's looking at the piece of meat here. So this would be my main pose. And then this anticipation pose would be my second pose when I block it out in a few minutes. Let's see. The chest goes down. This. So we have one pose that was here. Next pose goes here. Everything goes down basically. Next pose would be here, right before the front legs lift off, so they still have contact. So the head and neck go up, the chest is starting to go up, the hips are finishing their bounce, coming like they do a quick bounce coming forward. I don't block that in for the first pass. It's a small thing we can do after. Something like this. So going from this pose to this pose. My next pose would be here, where the body is almost a straight line going up. And the arms are going up as well. So this pose, this pose. Next pose, I would find the apex of the jump. I think it's somewhere around here, like this pose. But if you look at the chest, it's the apex of the chest and the head. The hips, however, keep going up for 2 more frames. So this pose, and the arms are busy doing their grab. And then the next pose will be this one for the contact. The body has a rotation of like this. So the chest dragged behind, the hip rotating down. You have one arm, the other arm. I think it's here, the head and neck. So it's the contact pose. Next pose, I would probably put it here. The arms still a little bit straight. And the legs doing this. Another pose would be all the way down here when everything is at its lowest. And then the last pose would be here when everything settled back up. So if we look at our pose chart, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the apex, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We have 9 main poses, and then after that we go in and add breakdown, breakdown, breakdown until a point where when we play it in step mode, everything has overall the good timing, which then we would probably change it to a spline and then keep working. So with that being said, let's jump in and see with our beautiful leg. Now, the first pose. Remember, hips are rotated down and they're like this. Chest is that. Neck is rotated up. Head is rotated up as well. That. Chest rotation is that higher. Now for this pass, because I want to get the main poses as quickly as possible, I go really fast and then I come back and I finesse it a little bit. For the legs, keep in mind this control that changes the shape of here. Cats, when the hips go down, this leg goes like this. Same for this guy. So that here we can bring the hips forward down and forward more. Now here I'm looking at the ref just for the main poses, and I'm trying to see the relationship between hips, chest, neck, head for the body, and then front leg and the back legs. So let's take a look together. This is our ref. What we have right now, we need to improve. Our hips is a little bit too low at the moment. Let's little bit. Just like this. It's to be rotated more. That. The head. Ah, my mouse key. Change to IK head. IK head is better for this exercise. The head has a kind of this rotation. When you look at the head, see the rotation is such that the top of the nose is almost has a straight line, parallel line to the ground. So that we will try to get the same. And then usually rigs would have some corrective plane shapes. We would fill out this part here because the neck muscle would fill this part. But because we don't have those correctives, we can shape it this mirror control here. Still the shape is not clean, but it's not too bad at the same time. Okay, let's check this pose. It's not too bad. What I see here. Now the neck feels like it has a stronger angle here going up, which we can improve. Looks like this leg is a little bit further back than the other leg. So let's quickly adjust those two. This leg is a little bit further back. Shoulder, zero it out. Oh, there you go. What happened? There's my ref. Shoulder, I don't see much of the shoulder in the ref, but that tells us here. Let's see what we can do with the shoulder. Maybe this is a happy medium, right? And then this one is a little bit further back. That one is a little bit further front. Usually quadrupeds, one side of the body rotates to the other side. So if this leg is a little bit back, this tells us this leg a little bit more in front. And this guy a little bit back. Like that. I check everything from the front as well. It's like we need to bring everything like that. Okay, it's hard to see where the back legs are. It looks like he's further back. I brought them too far forward. Yes. Let's go there. Okay, we have our first pose. I did this shoulder also, just to go back a little. And then go down. Okay, we can say this is our first pose. Still, the neck needs to have farther angle compared to the chest. Let's see. Here. And it's a little bit. The legs need to come a little bit forward. A little bit too forward back. Okay, not bad. So we can say this is our first pose. Now let's find our second pose, which is the body takes a small step and comes here. This pose here, which I did that. Okay. So select everything. So 7 frames stay there. And here, put this here just once. Okay. For that next pose, the body goes forward overall because it takes a little step. And then the hips go a little bit like this. Chest reduces the rotation, goes down. Remember, the legs come almost, the front legs come almost like this. And then you have to remember to do this. Same for this guy. It's good to keep them a little bit not the same, so completely shouldn't mirror each other. It's always a little bit. Now, one thing that is very important is that to flip between your poses when you're doing pose to pose, to see if you're getting the change in shape that is in your ref. Now here, I think I need to bring this more forward because he does a small hop so that both legs come forward too. That. Take a look at the ref. I think we can get more down on the chest there. Get more down on the chest. At the same time, the head goes down and goes forward a little bit. The front legs, I look at the front legs where they are when they land, and I compare to where the head is. So you see, looks like the head is almost on the same line. That tells us how far the front legs should go for this pose. Which here you can see I need to bring them more in front. more like that to be in the same pose. Okay, so it goes from here to here for the anticipation. And I think because one of the characteristics of the predator is that when they lock into a prey, during when they're doing their preparation, the anticipation, and then the pounce, the head always remains like locked to the prey. It's almost like a IK with aim, like that. The body, no matter what the body is doing, the head always remains the same orientation, so that they can keep it always in front, which is something we are seeing here. So as the body goes down, the head counters up so that tiger can keep that in sight. Okay, not bad for our first two poses. Check again the ref to see. Now the back legs, I brought them forward too much. Looks like only the far leg from camera does a step. The other one remains. Okay, one mistake, we have to correct that. So from here to here, this leg remains. Only that guy takes a step forward, which also tells us the body should not come this much forward. Bring everything back. Okay. Now, next pose. What is our next pose? Now, the next pose is this one, which the difference from here is that the hips do one bounce. They go boop, so that the legs can come and land here to be more under the center of gravity, so that you can push up as the tiger jumps. So let's see if we can do this pose here. So we have here, and we need this one. Put it to the side. Now here the body comes forward. Now one thing I forgot to check is that for the body I would keep the TY locked so that I can do the TY of the hips and chest separately. Because if you do that with the main controller of the body, then you have to counter animate to get the separation that we want. Because quadruped chest, hips, and head never have the same timing for the up and down for the TY. So that I only use it for TZ and TX. And then for anything else, I use chest here, so that the chest is rotating that and comes up. Let's see something here. Oops. I'll close the ref. Okay. So in this pose, the hip is rotated about like that. the legs come right under the body. This. Now, for this pose, when you look at the ref, you see the body has this rotation, which tells us the hips should be lower than the chest, so that we would get this rotation. And then the head and neck. So that let's try to do the same pose here. Right. And then always flip between the poses. And here I brought the body a little bit too in the front. Something like this. Just do it more. And then the head and neck are almost vertical on top of the legs. When you look at the ref, you see that this is where the front legs are. This is the chest here, and then the neck and the head. So you see, when you squint your eyes, it's like almost like everything is lined up vertically. So that let's see how much of that we can build with our rig. Just save the file because Maya loves to crash every 10 minutes. Okay, so we want to have the chest on top of the front legs, on top of the head and neck. So let's see. This guy, to rotate. This guy, rotate. And normally you wouldn't need to use these guys, the rig would shape itself, but in this case, I think the legs can still come forward. Okay, it's not the best. It's also, a good thing is to think about the shapes graphically. Like when you're looking at the ref, to think about it as everything like a 3D, like in two gears of mind, like two mindset. One, you look at everything in 3D to make sure the balance and the relationships are good. But then also it's good to think about it graphically when you're looking at a pose, like what we were saying. Like you see here, like this whole front can be like this shape. Chest, front legs, neck and head. And then the back is something like that. And then for the push-off pose, if you think about graphic, everything is one straight line going up, and the tail is there. So it helps to think about it, and it reminds you to think about the silhouette of the shape of the pose. Okay, let's here. Still, I'm not happy with this. The head and neck more stacked up on top of the. More. Okay, it's not too bad. When I squint my eyes, I can see we're getting close to that shape. One thing is this thing here, we should not have it because the neck muscles feel that space. Here, I don't know how to fix that. It's built into the neck. Okay, we'll leave it for now. Okay, now one mistake that I did, I changed the pose of the front legs from here to here, but in the ref they remain on the ground, which I can do this, I can just copy them from here to here, and here, and here, the body forward too much. Okay, expose, push off, this one. So the arms are going up within the silhouette of the body like that, and then everything else stretches into a straight line. Grab everything. Also, something that I forgot to mention is that up until here, we see almost the perfect profile of the tiger. As it's coming to this jump, it's opening up its underbelly and under chest to the camera. So if there's a little bit of rotation from that perfect profile, then as it's going up, it's doing this rotation, which is one of those small things that if you built it in, if you put it in, it adds such a nice touch, which breaks up like all the perfect angles to the camera, which adds another level of believability. Okay, now for this pose. Everything goes up straight. Okay, now one thing I need to do for this pose is that the legs need to be more in front. Because after that, we need to have everything going in straight line. And then this shape is not a shape. Always need to have kind of this. And then I copy this the same here to here. So that this goes. And then here, bring the hips down a bit. Now, when you're working pose to pose, I have to always compare one pose to the other and then adjust them. It's not like you're never done with your first pose, because until you see the next progression of the poses, you cannot, you see more stuff that you need to adjust on your first pose. So it's always a good idea to flip, 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 and then look at the changes. Okay, now for the straight pose, this one. Now everything is on a straight line going up. This pose is probably one of the most difficult poses in this animation, because center of gravity is right on top of the legs. And then I come back to fix the front legs. So now I constantly look at the ref, at least for the first pass. Like this. Now the chest, as it goes, it rotates. Ah, I forgot to put the head in workspace. It's fine. Now we can just adjust it. Now maybe for this one, we can use a little bit of rotation in the body. That's gonna come back to haunt us after the mind. Yeah, there's a little bit of counter animation to do. So time to do the legs quickly. So that what is this? Okay, now one of the problems, this rig that we just found out, is that the body doesn't have the perfect shape. Not too bad. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Still need to stretch out, and then keep in mind the rotation. Also the rotation of the hips needs to be As the body goes straight up, the neck counters. To be careful, it's not a good idea to use both IK and FK at the same time. So it's better to use IK only. And then here, we need to drag this shape. Oh yeah, one of the problems is that the rotation here is rotating from there. It's to rotate. Then all the toes down, closer to the body, higher. It's almost at the height of the head. Yeah, you see here, this arm is like elbow is here, it's reaching up like that, and then the rest of the arm is there. You can hear it opens up both arms. They come inside the body as they go up, and then they open up to grab. Anyway, as it goes up, now we need to start opening it up to the camera as well. Let's see what we have. It still needs to come right. You close this arm. It's coming up. The neck and the head are almost a straight line on top of the chest. Okay, now it's opening up to the camera. Now, for that, I use the main control. Just start to open it up a little bit. That. Then we need to remember to adjust the arms as well for that rotation. That we did on the body. So this angle, we can probably do more, but it's fine. shape. This is right. To shape. This is good to keep the elbows in. Ah, maybe with the shoulders. They don't hurt that much. So basically the problem here is that the elbow is too out of the silhouette of the body. In the ref, what I see, they go up like this. I'm trying to get that shape there. You can shade it with the shoulders a little bit. Okay. Okay, it's almost not too bad, I would say. Okay, back legs, need them to be straight for this one. So we grab these two guys, and basically we grab everybody and just move them up. Okay, and then come here, just these guys to get this straight. And then it's also a good idea to look around your pose, like to turn around it. Usually you see your mistakes as soon as you turn to a different angle. This one, to right. Trying to keep everything in a straight graphic shape, at least for this pose. Okay. Not too bad considering the rig that we have. We can add a bit more stretch. Okay, now expose is the apex of the jump. And then the main thing that is changing here is the RY of the body. See, it starts to open up toward the camera right here at the apex. It does a 90 clockwise RY so that we are seeing right through the belly. And then it keeps turning, that when it lands, it did a 180 to the other side. We see his other side of profile. This thing will be the most difficult thing to do, because to get that rotation correctly, it's difficult, but yeah, let's see. So let's say the apex of the jump, if we say it's here. So already here, it's past the rotation, past the 90 degrees. Sorry, 120 degrees, I guess. But now, remember, pose to pose, it's a good idea to grab all the controls, select keys on everything, just so you keep it clean until you get to the point of doing your breakdowns. Let's say here we say it's the apex, and for this one we grab all our players and move them up in TY. I changed to the world because if you don't change to the world, depending on the rotations that they have, each go in a different direction. But for this pose specifically, I want everybody to move up the same amount. So let's say jumps almost one body length, and then I use this guy to do the rotation. So it's past like this, and then because the legs are not in body space, I need to do them separate, all four of them. So this one, and then the legs catch up a little bit to the yes. Still not have a little bit of offset. Oh, what happened to the tail? The legs are more in front. Let's see the rest. Blocking out shot like this, the beginning is the most boring and difficult part because you don't see any results, you just see a lot of bad poses. But if you power through it, I hate this part personally. If you power through it after something that is working better. To do the rotation on them. All this we have to come back to clean up later. Just for now. Okay, now that you see it's going backwards, which is not correct, so everything should go this way. It's because of the pivot of the rotation is not in the center of the body, so that it's offsetting. That way. In the meantime, If you have any questions, feel free to shout it out as I fix this ugly pose. Still, it's going back as it's jump. It needs to go straight right. Let's check the ref, see what the ref is doing. Yeah, see the ref goes straight up, but with a slight screen right drift. So the whole jump, if you look at, let's say if this is TZ, this direction, the whole jump starts here, goes up, and then lands a little bit here. Now I exaggerated this, but it's something like this. If you look at the hips, they start here, they get here, and then land here. So it's kind of like this path. Okay. Here we have this pose. Now here you see the hips are still going up and they are rotating in. That's something we need to build in later. Here the hips are rotating this way. From here to here, you can see it. And then when they go back down, they kind of keep the same RX as they go around. Anyway, this pose, now let's see what the arms were doing in this pose. Ah, they grab. Ah, that's so easy. They grab like 3 frames before, they grab the meat from both sides. And here is like grab it, and here is like pulling it a little bit. Okay, so they have that pose there. Let's see. Okay, still needs to go a little bit straight right. Now it's good to look at it from this angle too. It's not bad, I would say. It needs to go a little bit this way. Okay. Now, the pause. Pause are doing the grab from both sides. Now, with the toes, I have to reset the toes, and then also this guy. This guy. And the paws are like about 1 head higher than the head. So you have to bring them up. Now, for that, the shoulders need to get involved. Shoulders roll forward to allow for the arm to reach higher. So, now remember, the arms open up and then grab. So at this point they're grabbing, but they come from an open. So the elbows are a little bit should be a little bit open, and it should have the rotation of this. And it's right on top of the head. So let's go back. Now this rig is breaking a little bit because the shapes are not shoulder. That's fine for okay. Now we do the other one. Should have set the space up to follow. Sure. Okay, not bad. Not bad. We can come back to adjust it. But I would say compared to our ref, it's not bad. It's like this pose that we're doing now. The leg looks like it's more to the side. This, that, the knee, we can bring it back. Now that I play it, I see that I need more frames here. 2 more frames. Yeah, okay. Remember to save, just because Maya loves to crash. Okay, next pose, we were thinking to do the landing pose. This one, not this one, this one. Which the main thing is that it did another 90 degrees clockwise and one leg straight as it lands. Rotation of the body is like that. The neck and head still have a little bit of angle compared to the body, which you can see like that. One leg is still hanging back. One arm and one arm is there. So let's try to build this pose. And then again, grab everything. Let's say maybe 6 frames later. First thing, do the 90 degrees course, it's going to look like shit the first time you do it. Now here is a good time to look at the curve for your RY. It needs to have a smooth. Now here is speeding up. Just telling us we need more frames here. So start it from here. Rotation. Oh, I went too far. Okay. That's my mistake. Go to 180. Now, even when you're doing pose to pose, you can be conscious of how your main rotations and translations work. So later you would have less like ugly frames to clean up. Now here we should come back down to the ground. Here we need to go a little bit this way. Remember, to go like that. Quickly change the pose effects. Nice. Oh, yo, where did the time go? Stuff. Okay. And then it comes down. Okay, now we bring everybody down. This is our contact pose on the landing. Now, one leg is almost straight. Let's see here. I can do this again. The leg that is farther from camera is landing straight. The camera side leg is dragging by 2 frames. Now, I need to find the rotation of the body. Chest is coming back down. Chest is this kind of rotation versus the body. This leg, just straighten it out, landing on the ground. It has to be straight. That means our foot is a little bit too low at the moment. Raise the hip to have that leg straight. This leg also need to come this way. This leg drags behind. This. Always go back and forth from your ref to the poses that you're doing. that. Now, screen right. Arm. Let's see. Right. Has a rotation of a little bit. Oh, one thing that I just here, you don't need this big belly here. The belly is almost rotation of the body should be the other way. Not a bump, but just here the shoulder we can set because the arm is coming down, the shoulder should not have much engagement. And then this guy. Okay, this rotation here is killing us. It's straight, but then the elbow goes out a little too far. Come back to it later. And then the neck, the head. Less of a rotation because now the meat is right in front of the face. So the face, the head is rotated more to look. So trying to get the same now. There's a lot of stuff here that is clean up as we go along. It's not too bad, I would say. This back. Shape it a little bit better. Oops. Just a tad. Let's see. Okay. Now the body needs to go a lot more square right because the pivot point for the rotation for the RY. So the whole body should drift screen right during this jump. Let's check So the whole body starts here and then lands here, from here to there, during the jump. Okay, here. Now a good thing about not having it in step mode, but thinking of it as a step mode is that you can play it back and instantly see, oh, the drop needs more time, needs more frames. So you can just grab it. If you do it in step mode has a lot of advantages. One of the downside of it is that it hides your timing until you spline it out, or until you add enough breakdowns so it gets on 2s or 3s. So every 2 frame or 3 frame, then you can see the timing. Like this approach is kind of like a best of both worlds. I think we need to grab one more frame here, one more frame here. Okay, not bad. Make sure everything's what we need here is here and here. I set 2 keys so I can adjust the hang time a little bit. Now here you can see we have too many frames here. So set, yeah, and then save. Okay. Now next pose we have the contact. This pose that all 4 legs, front and back, have contact, and the body has this pose. Let's try to get this. I think 4 frames should be enough. Now here, almost everything goes back on the ground, so it can give us a good indication of our x should be set to y. Our x should be and always look at your poses from front and side as you're adjusting. Otherwise, as soon as you look at another angle, you see, oh shit, so many things are wrong. Okay, now here the body would finish its RY. So if I go to my graph here, so you see turn, middle, so here we should need to keep going. Then we come to one. It's always good to think about ease ins and ease outs. For blocking, this is here. Here, let's see, straight everything out. That. Down. Body is, the hip is almost touching the ground on this pose. See, it's absorbing all the force of the landing. The hips are almost down to the ground. This is one leg here. This is another leg in the perspective, and the hip is right there, almost touching the ground. So here, let's see if we can get this. Now the legs, they widen out as they land. So keep it the same. Let's always rotate outward for a pose like this. You can adjust the knees afterwards. And then hips rotation. Ooh, look at that pose. Hardly. TY, go down, TY, go down, chest, go down, that's really, rotate it out a little bit, and then make sure to this. More. Now when you rotate them out, also make sure just the elbow so it doesn't intersect with the body, because CFX will send you a very angry email the next day when you publish. They tell you crazy animators broke the muscle system. You see, one problem with this rig is jumping as we turn it around 180, which is fine for now. Okay, try to give it the shapes for this pose. Chest needs to be lower. And we need to do a pass on the head and the neck. Let's zero everything out to see what we have. Okay. Now the head is looking down in this pose. Let's see here. Because it's following the piece of meat at this point, like it's doing now, but the neck is still has a little upward rotation relative to the chest. You can see This is one shoulder, this is one shoulder. We connect here. This is the chest. The neck is going up a little bit, but the head is rotating down as it's following this piece of it. So all these little comparison you do when you're looking at your ref is basically the essence of creature animation. So as to not to guess, at least for the blocking pass, you need to stay very faithful to the ref. And then for the next pass, you can go in and say, okay, now which parts we can exaggerate to show more weight, to show more force, all that good stuff that you need. But for the first pass, my suggestion is always stay as close to the ref as possible. Where is my pull vector? There you go. Okay. So we come from that to this. It's not bad. It's not bad. Shoulders, we can exaggerate a little bit more as they catch the weight. I think the head can be a little bit lower as well. Okay. And then there's one pose after this, which is the settle coming back up. Goes down, and then it's the bounce back up. This pose here. And again, here you can see how much the hips bounce back up from this pose when they're almost touching the ground, and then boom, they come here. You can see it best in the shape of the legs. Here, the legs are like bunched up like this, the back legs, and then for this last pose, they go into this. So from this to this, it shows us how much the hip is going back up. Let's get this last pose. How many frames? I would say 6, 5. Rotate. The body is going forward a little bit. Add. This guy is zeroed out. Chest. This. Raises as well as it bounces back up. Then this pose has the hips higher than the chest. So something like this. Shoulders we can zero out. And then the head goes down for here because now the meat is on the ground. And that's always pay attention to the shape of the neck. If you're using IK, you have to use these little controls to shape the neck, otherwise you get those ugly shapes there. So something like this. To shape it up, to shape that. And then if I go to my graph editor, we can smooth out RY a little bit. So it goes down and then comes back up. Then we need a little bit more ease in here. Okay, so we have a very rough blocking for this jump in like 1.5 hours, which is not too bad. Now the rig is not the best rig, so like I spent some time fighting with the rig to get some of the shapes. But like if this was my shot, like almost 100 frames, I have a rough blocking which is having the same a good timing and a sense of weight relative to what I have in the ref. Now for the next pass, I would go in and start adding breakdowns. For example, this step here, you see where the camera side leg, front leg leads the step, and then the other goes. This is one breakdown. Another breakdown is before that, the leg farther from camera, you see is doing a step in 4 or 5 frames. That's another breakdown to get him to this anticipation pose. And then from here, we need the hips to do the bounce here coming forward, and then the legs to do the step from here to here, so that we can get to this pose that we have. Here we need one breakdown for the arms as they go up, so we can drag this shape right now because they're arcade, they're like going through the body, so we need that breakdown. Here we need this breakdown for the arms to open so that they can close as they grab the meat. Now I would also add a temp geo for the meat, just for clarity and presentation. Another breakdown would be here, like we need to add this twist of the hips that they do now. You see here in like 5 frames, the legs and the hip, they're doing this twist. As the chest starting its descent. This is another breakdown. These frames, as they come down, I would leave for later. They don't need any breakdown. This we already have. This we already have. This we have. And if I have some time at the end, I add one more pose at the end for the head to go back down, so that it lands, it comes back up, bounces back up, and then the head goes back to for the mouth to grab the meat. That would be my next pass. Maybe in like 2 or 3 hours, I can get that pass done. And at that point, it's in a good enough shape that I would show to someone, like grab an animator, hey, come take a look at this. Because like when you spend almost a day working on your animation, you start to not see your mistakes. And then as soon as a fresh eye comes in and then tell me, oh, you have to do this, and then I do a pass on those, and then I have something that resembles a real tiger or a real lion. One thing that is very ugly right now in this pass is transition from here to here, because we don't have any breakdowns. And the main reason for that is, if you look at the head is going a screen left as it's going from this pose to this pose. But in our ref, when you look at it, the head, yes, it's going a screen left, but mostly it's going straight up. Like from here, head is here. As it goes into the straight pose, it goes here. So yes, there's a little bit of drift going the screen left, but the main movement in screen space is going up. Whereas here we have too much of that of the head and chest going a screen left. Now this would be one of the main things I would need to fix. I wish we had more time. Cool. Any questions? And then I think if you guys have yours, Juan has stuff. Let's take a look. Nice. Cool. Okay, one thing I see here is the bounce on the hips that you have in your ref. But well, you need basically you need more breakdowns to flesh it out. But if you look at your hips, they go down from frame 6 to frame 10. So in 4 frames they go down, but then they stay down 11, 12, 13, and then in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames until 18 they come back up. Which when you look at it, it creates like they go down and then they stay down and then they come back up slowly. But the timing should be a little bit more sharper overall so that we feel the bounce. Boom, boom. And then if you need to hold them, you hold them at the top pose until the next step. Boom. Next step. Also check the spacing of your back leg. From here to here, you're teasing out. But then from here to here, it needs to be almost halfway through. You see, you look at the ref. See here, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 frames later, it's here passing the other leg. 4 frames later, your leg is still here. It needs to be like somewhere here as it passes. And then here is the contact pose, but yours is here. So again, for your first like rough blocking, basically go for a copy of the ref. It's the best way to get the essence of it. Later, you can go in, add a few frames here, take out 3 frames from there. You can exaggerate. You can do all the stuff that animation principles is telling us. Adjust the silhouette. But for the first pass, like at least my suggestion is to go like copy basically the ref. So you have that base that you can now build upon. One other thing I see here is that the TY timing on your chest and on your head have the same timing. They are going down at the same time. If you look at chest and the head, they are going up and down at the same time, which again, the head usually has 1 or 2 frames of offset between the head and the chest, so you get the feeling of boom, boom. So when the chest stops, the head keeps going for 2 more frames until it reaches the extreme low TY. Same for when it comes back up. This is nice. Oh, pay close attention, especially for feline or for cats, for big cats. The front legs, when they are passing the other one as they go forward, they get a very graphic shape of this shape. Like you can see here. Now we cannot see the other side, but you get this. Now if you look at the angles of here, like it's this and this angle, boom, boom. Which is a combination of the control you have on the wrist and breaking the joint, like in RX the paw, to get that so that it like drags behind almost like that and then flops back a few frames before the foot lands. And then something that is very nice in this ref is you see how for the contact pose, how it's landing with the inside of the heel, so to speak, and then it boom. You see, it's like when it lands, it has this rotation. If you look at the front leg, it's like coming instead of like this, coming instead of like comes from behind, and then this is the contact pose, this, and then boom, boom. If you can get it, this is such a nice touch. Like you see here, we are seeing the underside of that paw, and then in one frame lands, and then the here, you see this frame has that angle, next frame straight, as it catches the weight. This would be something for the polish pass, but just so. Cool. Oh, and you have your breakdown here. Oh, okay, yeah, this video, you have everything you need, like basically the high point, the low point. So it's just a matter of putting them in your rig, in your animation. Yeah, you see, you look at the hips, you see their bounce. You look at the chest, you see the bounce. That's one of the like main mistakes that I did, and I see like people do. Like the up and down tells us the weight, and if it's soft, it basically doesn't give the feeling of weight. It needs to have the bounce, boom, 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 and then you built in the rotation, the RX on top of it. Cool. Yeah. So if you have time this week, I would suggest doing another pass on your walk. And also would be nice to see a 3/4 front and the front view to check the side to sides. If you have the time, that would be nice. Cool. I see Tong has a link. Oh, access denied. I was denied access to your animation. So if you can unlock it. Still denied. No, no luck. Yeah, it's asking me to log in. So for next week, now I know it may be a little bit too much homework, but a jump would be very good if you guys can do a jump. Now doesn't necessarily needs to be a jump like we did today. Could be a more like a horizontal jump, like from like when the bobcats like jump from like over a river or like water, or it can be a jump from from a lower point to a higher level, like when the cats jump from one big stone to another. It can be a jump like we did today. But yeah, so for next week, if you have the time, do a pass on your walks and runs, and then block out at least a rough blocking for the jump. Would be great. And obviously finding a ref first, and then going from there. And then, so from next week, we're gonna start going to work on dogs or canines. So, but you guys feel free to keep working on your cat assignments, and we can take a look as we go along. But just keep in mind that because we have to go, we have like so many creatures to cover. So like 3 weeks, 2 weeks is the most we can stay on cats. So yeah, this week, if you can get the jump done and another pass, if you have the time on your walks and runs. Let's see if this one works. There we go. We have the Black Panther here. Nice. The front is very nice. Let's check this one first. Okay, looking at the side view, one thing that I see here is that overall the hips are a little bit too high compared to the chest. Probably they can be lower, like 30%. The bounce on the hips is very nice. You feel the bounce. However, the rotation, the RX rotation is a little bit soft. And you can see it in the ref here. You see the hips at this pose, which is like the contact pose for the front leg. The hips are rotated this way in Rx so that they're like this, right? And then look at the hips Rx rotation. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they rotated back this way and they are almost straight. Even have a little bit of the other way, and then they come back down and they rotate. So you see from here, straight, 4 frames this way, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 5, basically, they go straight. So the timing of the rotation is also sharp. In your animation, the rotation can be a little bit sharper. You see, you rotate here, the hip has this rotation, which is nice, but then it takes all the way to here to rotate back up, and even here it's not like fully rotated to the straight. We still have a little bit of this rotation, whereas here it should be almost straight, so that it can go again to this rotation for the other leg that is going to land. So keep that in mind. The rotation, the Rx of the hips also needs to have a sharp timing, something like the TY. Looking at the chest timing is nice. Yeah, the chest timing is nice, but the TY of the chest feels to me that has a, well, it's very good, to be honest with you. But it's a little bit too even, the timing of the TY of the chest. Looks like the curve like this. Where you look at the ref, you see it goes down in like 3 frames, boom, and then goes back up in 3 frames, and then stays up in four or 5 frames until the next front leg wants to land. So it's like boom, boom, boom. So it has a hang time on the top, which is something that you can exaggerate a little bit for your chest. The timing of the head is nice. It has a little bit of offset with the chest, which is great. You added the RX of the head, also nice. Now, one thing here is the placement of the back legs as in relation to the hips. Now you can see, like, if you compare this frame to the ref, you see this leg is almost doing the right thing, but it's a little bit placed more forward, like it's here. So I would say like this leg should be a little bit more forward. But the back leg, as it's coming forward, you see where it is in relation to the hip. Like the end line of the hip is here, and then that leg is breaking the silhouette like that. But here, your hip is almost on top of the leg. So take a look at that. Like in this frame, your back leg needs to be somewhere there. if you compare with the leg, with the ref, sorry. And the reason for that is that you see here in your ref, if you look at it, this is the contact pose. And look at the back leg where the contact pose is. The back leg is here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames after the contact, the back leg is still moving back. If you imagine this was a stationary tiger and only the legs were moving back and forth. If this is the contact frame, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames after, still this leg is moving backward, which is creating that distance between the hips and the leg there. Now, if you look at here, if you look at your ref, if this is the contact, if you look at your animation, this is the contact pose. 2 frames later, you're lifting the leg, the back leg to bring it forward. Where it needs to go 4 frames after that, needs to still be going on the ground, going back. Like at this point needs to be there. Like we have there. And then it peels off the ground. And you see, like a frame like this, take a look at the relationship between the 2 back legs. You see the negative space between the 2, like this negative space. Here you have none. You have a lot of it. So here, this leg is to be here. And the other leg needs to be a little bit more forward. So we get that negative space between them. I would say this is a great blocking, but needs another pass that you go through it and you look at the relationship between back legs, between front legs, between head and chest. One thing here is that if you look at where this leg is landing, now this is very nice what you have, and then you look at the nose, it's a little bit in front of the head, like the space of the head. Yours is a little bit behind. So at this point, maybe it's the physiology of the tiger versus the rig as well. But I would say you could probably push the shoulder a little bit more here so that you can get that extension for the front leg. You see where the shoulder is for the tiger is like here, and then that's the neck, and then that's the head. So maybe your shoulder can be a little bit more here. This is very nice. This is very nice as it lifts off. And then this landing that you have here with the outside is also a great touch. Cool. Let's see if you have, did you have a front? I'm not used to sync sketch. I'll go back to the RV. Yeah, the front view is very nice. The head is doing the right thing. Maybe again, maybe the TY of the head is a little bit too soft. It's like a moving like this, whereas it needs to have the bounce. Boom, boom, boom. Like if you look at the eyes, looks like the TY of the head has this, like one key, one key, one key, one key, one key, and then Maya is doing all the in-betweens, which for rough blocking is good, but again, like the timing is always favoring the top, and then there's a bounce. So I would say the timing should be boom, boom, more like this: bounce, hold, bounce, hold, bounce, hold. The side to side is almost perfect for the chest. It's very nice. Cool, very nice. Very, very nice. And then the run. Okay, the run needs a little bit more love overall. It's still a little bit rough. One thing to pay closer attention to is the relationship between the shoulders. See here, when the tiger is reaching for that, with the arms almost straight, the shoulders come down and then they go forward to allow for that extension of the front leg, so they can reach the maximum distance. Here, your shoulders are a little bit high, so here you can push the shoulders down, push them forward. They come here, so you can get more extension in the legs, in the front legs. And then also see where the nose is and where the paws are, the head and the paws. You have that almost, but also pay attention to the shape of the front leg. Almost straight. You need that straight, and then as it catches the weight, goes into a bend. Otherwise, your animation would feel like not organic, and the arms would always have that bend as they move. You need the straight and the reach, and then to this, and then the other side as they come back up. The other side is good. Also keep in mind the ease in and ease out of the poses for the legs. Now, if you look at this leg here, goes back, eases out of that pose as it comes forward. Look at the same leg here. This guy goes back and then hits a wall basically as it comes forward. In one frame, changes direction. One frame is here, next frame is there, next frame is there. So it's like boom, boom. This kind of hard changes of direction is the enemy of weight, because when something is heavy, it needs time to change direction, to slow down the momentum and then go the other way. If you think of a ping pong ball, it's very light and it can change direction in one frame. And then it gives the feeling of something being very light. Whereas something that is heavy, like a lion, like a tiger, all the extreme poses where something reaches the extreme and then wants to change direction, needs to have ease in and ease out to sell the weight. It cannot hit a wall and then go. Otherwise, it kills the feeling of weight. And then let's check the head movement. The head movement is good. The hips, you could get more rotation Rx for the hips. Like if you look at your ref in this frame from here to here, see how much the hips are rotating in this direction. Like here, you can actually see a hard angle here because the hips are rotated so much in. And the reason they do that is that they allow more range of motion for the back legs to come and cover more distance. Like here, you could rotate the hips more this way. So that you can get even more, bring the legs even more forward. And then see, as in this stretch pose, there's 1 or 2 frames that the hip is almost rotated even a little bit that way. So here it comes to a straight, and then the next frame, you see a little bit of that as the legs reach their maximum, the extreme back pose in TZ. So I would say in this pose, you can even rotate the hips a little bit more that way. Then push the legs a little bit further back. That being said, this is a very nice blocking as you have it. Also keep in mind, the ref that you have looks like the tiger is not going full speed. Looks like it's like a slowing down from something, or it's just running like at 80% of its capacity. When they are like going top speed to hunt for the hunt, like you feel more force as they, especially in the head and neck, as they do this with each step. Here is the other way. Here is like the head and neck are dragging versus the chest. So it tells us like it wants to slow down, or it's not, doesn't want to go fast. When they are at their maximum effort, the head and neck lead the chest. So it's leading like this. Let me see if I have something here. Second. Yeah, see here, like this is a top speed run, like he's almost close to catching the boar. And you see the head and neck, how it leads the chest. As the chest is going up here, the head and neck is going down. And then again here, the head and neck leads the chest going up. You see the relationship as the head and neck is going up, and then the chest catches up, and then, so it has that feeling. Not to say that the ref that you find is wrong, just something to keep in mind that like when they're going for that top speed, the head and neck lead. When they're slowing down, the head and neck drag versus the chest, and then they come to a stop. Where did my, okay. Cool, very nice. So yeah, for next week, if you have time, do a pass on the feedback we discussed for your walk and run, but more importantly, if is the jump. So if you have the time, if you can block out a jump, find a good ref, and then block out a jump, and then as much time as you guys can refine it, and then we can take a look next week together. Cool. Any questions? All good?
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Cool. Thank you very much. And
Thank you. Have a nice
Thank
week.
Thank you.
you too. Bye.
Bye.